Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. Every day we rise is a great day to be alive. And I'm Slim Overton, and I'm here. My co-host hasn't tuned in yet, but we do have our guest. We have a guest host, and you all familiar with him. He's on here, been on here many times. My homeboy, living in Maryland now, but a homeboy from Portsmouth, Virginia, Louis Bracy. And he brought some friends along with him, or some vets along with him. And we're going to talk about what the vets are doing, and also maybe they can tell us what we can do to help the vets and what they're doing, during this present administration and other issues they might have. But Lewis, go ahead and introduce your our guest this morning.
Well, I want to start with one of my personal heroes here, Elder Charles James. Charles James, he done damn near everything you can do in the military. He jumped out of planes, something I would never do. And he has a chest full of medals. But most important about the Reverend Charles James is that he's now giving his life to the Lord, and he's one of our most active community leaders. One of the things that impressed me the most about Brother James was when we was having some issues with young kids in school, and we needed to have some men go to the school to put things in check. And Brother James was one of those people who led that movement to turn out the men to go to or run to high school, try to talk to some of the knuckleheads there. So, but he's very active. He don't move around as much as he did when he was in Army, but he gets around. And we was at it just this weekend, the annual King event. He was in the shade, but he was there. And then, one of the few ministers that, I give any kind of credit to, we've been on before, is Reverend Steve Tillett. He's on, but he's not on for the reason he was on the last time. Reverend Tillett is on this time because, as a chaplain, he was one of the chaplains who was at the Arlington Cemetery area. So Reverend Tillett has seen soldiers come in their early days when they first arrived, and he has seen them where they have gone out when they went to glory. And he has an immense story and an immense background to talk about issues that veterans have in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of their life. So he's here in his ministerial capacity as serving the veterans his entire career. So you have, and Brother James also is a person who can talk to some of the people here about the benefits that you have and you should be taking advantage of as a veteran. And all of us are involved in upcoming veterans events. So you have the best of the best of the best today.
Yes, indeed. And Tibbet keeps going in and out. I guess he'll get that issue straightened out. And I'll see if he can hear me. Maybe he might need to go to his phone like he did last time. Because sometimes when we don't have a good connection, going to the phone is best. And I want to say this about Elder James and the Colonel, who is a co-host on here, who is a veteran, 36-year veteran, and he's my cousin. Hopefully he'll tune in later. And he joked my other cousin who used to jump out of planes. They used to joke back and forth and said, jumping out a perfectly good airplane before you reach your destination. And they used to, but that was his job too. My cousin who lives in Texas now, and he comes every once in a while, but they would joke back and forth about that. So, but we appreciate that. And I always had a special appreciation for the guys that did that. That what an important job, especially early on in the service, just jumping into harm's way, amazing task. So we appreciate that. But Lewis, some of the things that you've been doing, you're very active as a veteran about veteran issues, like we talked about last time, and you brought on the Elder Elder James here with you. And one of the things, as you all talk about some of the issues that you have and what you're all trying to get across, and Elder James, like you said, is talking to the knuckleheads, the young people out there. Not all of them are knuckleheads, but all of them need the wisdom that we can bring. But some of the things, talk about some of the things that you all are doing, or some of the things that you see the present administration doing that may be harmful to vets. And down as we continue the conversation, what can we do as non-vets to help vets in what they're doing? I know it's a lot of physical things we can do, and joining you when you're out there in public. But just talk about that and some of the issues that's ongoing. And either one can jump in as we wait. And I think we have.
I'll let brother James go first.
Well, good morning, first of all, and thank you for having me. First of all, let me just clear a little air there. I just jumped out of planes briefly when I first entered the military. My primary job was in the medical field, where I was assisting and taking care of the soldiers that had got injured or had medical issues. And my entire military career was in the medical field, primarily in emergency medicine.
And that was the colonel. That the colonel's job the whole time. He was in the medical field, a nurse actually.
Okay, then we got some things in common then.
Yeah, so I hope he comes on. I hope he tunes in. But anyway, go ahead. Don't let me in.
But as far as the this current administration is concerned, some of the things that is near and dear to my heart is how he's treating the veterans, those that are less fortunate than us, that are that may be out on the street, that's homeless. He's taking away crucial benefits that can do harm to them and their families that they're having. And we as veterans need to get together, mobilize, and strategize what we can do to let him know that we don't appreciate it, and we're just not going to stand idly by and let him do what he do. This is a democracy, and it's not a kingdom. So there's quite a few issues that we need to address as we move forward. And keep in mind, this man has only been in there a little bit more than 100 days, so we got a lot of work to do in the months and the years to come. If it was my druthers, we would find a way to get him out of there.
What is one pressing issue? I know you said it's a lot of issues, but what is one pressing issue that particularly might affect veterans and their families? Is it with the VA, the medical, the benefits, or what? What is one of the more pressing issues?
One of the more pressing issues, I think, is he's cutting crucial staff that takes care of the militaries, especially those that has been injured or that has mental health issues. So he's basically taking away those services that they have earned those benefits. And what bothers me more than anything about this so-called man, and that's what I call him, a so-called man, is that he has never donned a uniform one single day in his life. He has dodged the draft as many chances as he has. He has no inkling or no clue what the military is about or the types of jobs that they do. And so taking away the benefits, the health benefits, and cutting staff in VA hospitals and of that sort is just really mind-boggling to me. And I don't know what he thinks it's going to solve, but it's certainly not going to help the veterans here.
Yeah, and one other question I have, and you other two can chime in on it too. Since he's taking out people that might in the military, some of the generals that were in high places in his administration, is there anybody there that you all think that you all can talk to, or that's willing to sit down with the veterans and really have some meaningful conversations? Or is it just he's replaced everybody with people that suck up to him.
I let Reverend Tillich start.
Good morning. Honestly, I think the only way to stop this madness is profound public pushback and response, because he has surrounded himself with a bunch of sycophants and suck-ups, and so the guardrails that are usually there are gone. And as Elder James mentioned, that a lot of the mental health services and other things, it's just the hypocrisy is stunning. That on the one hand, you have these people in the Congress and elsewhere in society, USA, support the troops. And then as soon as the cameras turn off, they're enacting policies that do just the opposite.
Right.
And it denigrates and diminishes the country, USA, and does not support our veterans. This is a problem. So the only way, but then the other problem is this: there is a huge disconnect between what people believe to be true and what is actually true.
Yes.
Because if you think about the level of support that the occupant received from people in the military and received from veterans, and it's like, okay, but you do know that he called people who lost their lives serving the country as losers and suckers, but you support him? And then people believe old narratives. Old narratives, I mean, like going back to the 70s or 80s, where Democrats were trying to diminish defense spending and reallocate the money to support domestic programming and other things. So they always say that whenever a Republican comes in, well, they're going to restore the Defense Department and restore our military. Our military has never ceased to be the strongest military in the world, ever. And if you look at the budget right now, the military budget is about $750 billion with a B dollars a year. And they are trying to hike it up another $150 billion. So $750 billion a year right now is the military budget. And they're talking about, they're looking for fraud, waste, and abuse in the government. And they're going to the smallest department in the country, for instance, Department of Education or something like that. And you have the largest defense budget in the history of the world that they want to increase by another $150 billion. It's already overfunded. There are instances where members of Congress will pass a budget for certain weapon systems and other things to go to the military, and even the military is saying we don't need that. So if you want to right size the budget, reduce military spending. Right now, our budget is such that our budget is more than the next 25 nations in the world combined, and 22 of them are our allies. So the amount of money that they're spending is insane, but there's a disconnect. You have him saying, I support the troops buy it, and then he doesn't support the troops. As right now, other people have, you're seeing the hashtag FAFO, people fooled around and found out. So supposedly supporting the rural communities and farmers, and now they're getting jacked up. And people, but they seem to be slow learners. It's like, rather than admit that they made a mistake, they're just saying, well, there must be something they have in mind, something they're doing. And then the highest offense of all to me, and then I'll stop, is that the occupant is now channeling Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il, whichever one of them is there now, the father, the son. And he wants to have a military parade on Flag Day, which is June 14th. It also happens to be his birthday. So we know what that's about. It ain't about the flag. It's about, ooh, I get to have a parade for my birthday. And they're going to spend over $90 million, million with an M, $90 million or more on an unnecessary military parade while they're taking money away from veterans' services and benefits. It is unconscionable, and only an aggressive pushback by our veterans, because the folks in uniform still serving can't do it, but by our veterans will make a difference, I think.
And
And it's so amazing, Louis. It's so amazing, and the title of this show is "Vets Speak Truth to Power." So I'm glad y'all are really telling it like it is, but because it's so amazing, all the things that he's doing, and Steve, you brought it to light. You know, the things that they're doing to the average person looks like they're really supporting the military by upping the budget, like you said, with some things that you all don't need. Looks like I'm really supporting the military in this parade coming up. And at the same time, veterans are hurting, you know, and even some of the active duty military people that can't speak up. So it's so good to have veterans that have been through that and can speak up. So I appreciate you all coming on and saying, and Louis has been coming on here saying this is for a long time, trying to get other people to get involved with the veterans, you know, ministers and everybody, to believe the truth that's going on, and not the hype that they try to make it look, hey, we're taking care of the military, you know, so don't worry about them.
What they're doing, they're taking care of military contractors, because most of the increasing money is not going to go to brothers and sisters in uniform, and it's not going to go to our brother and sister veterans. It's going to go to defense contractors.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good point.
Let me hit something between the eye. I want to go back to Eisenhower, and both the guys know what I'm going to say. The military-industrial complex. Eisenhower said when he was leaving office, beware of the military-industrial complex. Now, when Eisenhower says this, and it was warning us about the influence of the military-industrial complex, people let it go over their head at that moment.
Five-star general behind you. Five-star general.
Yes. And we know what he did in World War II. And he warned us, and he did it more after he had retired, before he died. You know, he died soon, not too long after he left office. But he kept warning people about this. This is General Eisenhower.
Yes.
And so now, where we are at now is at a stage of we are seeing in our own eyes, in our own day, in our own time, how the oligarchs of America has taken over the White House for their own personal benefits. Like all these budget increases we're talking about is going to go to those handful and handpicked morons and greedy ass white men who was in his Mar-a-Lago so-called estate. And he said on national TV,
club, that's what it is.
They showed it right out in front. He said, I'm gonna make you all rich. And these was your oligarchs, and these were your so-called captains of industry. Like the Reverend said, none of this money is gonna go to healthcare. He took away, how you gonna take away 10,000 people from the veterans organizations and veterans hospitals that was already underserved? And you're gonna take away 10,000 people, and you're gonna try to tell me that you helping the veterans, and veterans are out there who need these services. And the lady was on one of the shows the other day. We're talking about how she could not contact the counselor that she had who helped prevent her from committing suicide, because the counselor is not even there anymore. But this a-hole, because I like y'all know my brother, he don't like cursing either. So I'm gonna say, but the a-hole who's in this office now want them to have this parade for him, when he don't want to give money to people to prevent them from having committing suicide. So one of the things that is happening on the 7th, the week before the parade, is that a group of veterans, is supposed to be the largest group of veterans since World War II, supposed to be descended upon Washington, D.C. It is under various different organizations. One is called Vet Votes. and the other one's called Vote for Vets. It's several different organizations.
That is common defense one of them too.
Common Defense is one of them. I was going to mention. Thank you, Reverend. It's one of the things. The Common Defense has a black connection with them, with that same group of people. They're all connected. So those are three organizations. When you ask what can we do, what we can do is support those three organizations who are going to be there on the 7th of June, a week before the Buttholes so-called parade, and support them and come in DC and descend on Washington. Now, I'm going to say one other thing. And y'all know I keep my word. On the parade for him, if I'm the only person there, I will be there and I will disrupt it. The parade, I will go to jail that day. I already have a lawyer ready to bail me out. So I'm telling you, right, that's how I'm gonna go.
Are you gonna be in uniform? Are you gonna be in uniform?
Yes, I will.
Just don't stand in front of a tank like you did before.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do it. I'm not worried. You know why? You know why I'm not worried? Because I know you're gonna be praying for me, and I know Elder James is gonna be praying for me.
And so, Lewis, you know,
that's all I need. I'm not worried about it.
So, Lewis, some people may think that that's radical, but that's how radical we need to be.
That's right.
To stop this. And Rem Tillett brought home a point when he was speaking. He said we need to mobilize as a group of public pressure on him like they've never seen before, because that's what's going to do it. I'm not sure if either one of you are aware of the 600 Naval Academy veterans and alumni that signed a letter to the Vice Admiral. Of course, the Vice Admiral can't do anything because she's still active. She's still active duty, and he's the so-called Commander-in-Chief. But 600 Naval Academy graduates that are no longer active duty signed a letter to the Vice Admiral disagreeing with the book ban. Those are the type of things that we need to do. Band together with, like you said, organizations like that that's going to be descending on Washington, D.C. I can't understand how this man is talking about all these so-called cuts to get rid of waste and fraud when he's going to have a $90 million parade that's not going to accomplish anything except take money away from other organizations and other needs for the veterans and other people in this country. And he's all for himself. So we need to do whatever we have to do to mobilize and stop this nonsense.
But the other thing I would say, though, again, that we have to cut through whatever this thing is that keeps people separated from obvious truth.
Yes.
How can you support someone that doesn't support you? Just lay it out point by point by point. Here are the things that this misadministration is doing to come for your benefits, to come for services that should be coming to you and your fellow veteran, etc. These are the actual things that are taking place. How can you still support this man and his misadministration when they obviously don't give a tinker's damn about you? And the other community that I would add in, brothers, in addition to veterans, is law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because and most of them are veterans.
He fomented a riot on the Capitol where law enforcement was attacked. One of the first things he did when he got in office was to pardon 1,500 criminals who were in jail for breaking the law and attacking police officers. Yet, as soon as he just utters these three words, law and order, you get wood. It's like, but doesn't think anything care about law and order. It's all about him. And as soon as and if police and most police try to do their job properly. Most police are not rogue, racist cops or got their hand in somebody's pocket. Most police are trying to do their job the right way. How is it that you know what this man is about? He's all about himself. He's all about money in his pocket, and for the billionaire class like him, he does not care about you. He does not care about law and order. Look at the way that he is diminishing law enforcement right now. Same as he's doing with the military. And I don't understand. And some people will say, well, it's white supremacy and blah, blah, blah. And so that's what it's all about. But even if you are a white supremacist ideologue, can you not just step out of your rabid hatred for brown people for 1 second and look at what's happening to you? Look at what's happening to the country and understand that if it is allowed to continue, there are some things we're going to lose that we can't get back. Because right now everybody is saying, well, the midterms are coming up. So in 2026, we can deal with this. Holmes, in 2 years, you mentioned that he's been in just a little over 100 days and the damage he's caused already.
Right.
Mhm.
Can you imagine another 18, what was that, 720 more days? Or would that be 50? Yeah, 36, 54. Another 540 more days of this recklessness. And then waiting for an election to come, at which point they will still control the Supreme Court. But maybe we can take the legislative away, and then there will be a guardrail. But there's not going to be a guardrail for another year and 3/4. And we can't wait for January 2027 when a new Congress is sworn in, because by then the country will be unrecognizable. And all the more so heading toward 2028 when this clown thinks he's going to run for a third term. Wait a minute, I thought Joe Biden was too old to run at 82, but then you gonna run at 82? So people just need to wake up and smell what they're shoveling.
What we have is a complete denial of reality in this country. And what you are saying is y'all everyone know what I've been saying for the longest time now, is that there is something mentally wrong with really the entire country, in my view, that has not accepted the fact that we have a complete idiot moron in this office who is controlling the buttons of our lives right now. Somebody who is, as I say, he's ungodly, he's unprincipled, he's unmanageable, and he has no basics of understanding of the very minimal understanding of military life. He has no basic understanding of what a real police officers really do. He really does not have a basic understanding of any of these things. But what he does have is the main thing that he has that's going for him is the basic understanding of pure, unadulterated racism.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Lewis. And the one thing that people, for whatever reason, does not want to recognize, and working in the medical field, he has all the classic symptoms of a narcissist.
That's
and
right.
He has mental health problems. Now, I know, I can't prove it, but I know he has doctors up there that's clearing him when they know that he has mental health problems. He is a sick man. You know, how in the world can this country and a good majority of this country stand by and not do anything when that woman that was at the Capitol at the insurrection, breaking the law, got killed, and now he wants to pay her family with our taxpayer dollars, millions of dollars, because she got killed doing something unlawful. But
That's
yet,
right.
the country and the great majority of the country will not recognize any of these black young men that has been killed unlawfully. They won't recognize that. But soon as a white person gets killed, I'm gonna call it like I see it. Soon as they get killed, then they want to compensate them, and it's all about control. Case in point, Lewis, we talk about this, I think, every once in a while. Trump has gotten rid of every single person that stands up to him. You know, the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary of Defense, every last one of them that were doing the job and doing it well, he has gotten rid of them. Even down to the point of the Librarian of Congress. You know, that lets you know he wants to just surround people that's going to suck up to him.
Yes. And
you mentioned the Library of Congress again. And I know that the media is afraid right now.
Yes.
Because they're not doing fact check. And I don't understand it. It's like you would think that a billionaire like Jeff Bezos, a real billionaire, not somebody like Trump who may or may not be a billionaire, although he is lining his pockets more and more. You know, the emoluments clause in the Constitution is toilet paper to him. So he's doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But you have somebody like Jeff Bezos, who's a real billionaire, who owns the Post. You would think that enough money people would say, we're not doing this. You can kiss our butt. We are not doing this. And then they would continue to report the news. I don't know if you see right now, there is, I hate to use this word, but well, I won't say insurrection, but there is a revolt going on at MSNBC.
Yes,
because a lot of the TV personalities are pushing back against their network, saying you all are undermining what it is we are here to do and what we have always done.
That's right.
But the media has allowed this. It's like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to report the truth. Because again, if just the facts come out, if people just take the time to assess the actual facts of what's happening, it can make all the difference in the world. But if you believe something, if you just made up in your mind to believe something that is not true, you mentioned the Library of Congress. Well, she was putting books in the hands of children that were unsuitable. No, the Library of Congress is a research institution.
That's right.
The librarian of the head librarian for the Library of Congress isn't putting any books in anybody's hand. But you have a Black woman that, well, if she's there, it must be because of DEI. You know what? You know who the penultimate DEI hire is right now?
White women.
Who?
White women.
No. I'm talking about a single individual. A single individual. The penultimate DEI hire is the Secretary of Defense. DEI standing for didn't earn it.
That's right.
There is no way that dude, who was a major while he was on active duty, I was a lieutenant colonel. I shouldn't be Secretary of Defense, but I could do it better than him. But anyway, there's no way that a major whose only other credential is that he was a talking head on Fox News should be the secretary of the largest bureaucracy in the history of the world. That one department, again, $750 billion budget, is more than many countries, most countries. And he's in charge of that. He's a DEI hire, didn't earn it. Okay, but they have unqualified people serving in critical positions, putting the country at risk, Nobody will say, no, sir, that can't work. No, sir, that's illegal. No, sir, we can't do that. That's unconstitutional. No one is saying that. So the only pushback is in the streets. What the veterans are going to do on June 7th and what everybody else just needs to be doing constantly, whether the media reports it or not. I'll be interested to see if the media reports what happens on June 7th with the veterans. I guess if there's a large enough crowd, hopefully they can't ignore it. But
Pastor Tiller, let me ask a question. I want to ask a question of all you gentlemen there. You know, as what you're saying, you know, about the unqualified people and the people he has gotten rid of who don't agree with him. And I know when you join the military, you make an oath. You make an oath to your country. And, you know, I just want to know, you mentioned about 500 some more days that he'd be in office and no telling where he will take the military. He's talking about putting the military on the streets in our country, you know, to handle immigrants and whatever else he wants to handle. At what point do we get to, or the military, the active duty generals and things like that, at what point can they say, look, we're not doing that. That's against the oath we made, you know, because he got so much more time left in office and no
he's
telling
getting
where
rid
he's
of all
going
of
to
those
take the military.
generals. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
He's getting rid of those generals who would try to do the job the right way
Right.
and promoting people. So it's like, well, I owe my second star to him or my third star to him or my fourth star to him. Whatever he wants, I'm going to do. You would like to think, as you mentioned the oath, you would like to think if there's people remember, I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You would like to think that eventually folk in the military will say, no, we ain't doing that.
Right.
But I don't know.
And
I have a solution. And Reverend,
What is it?
and Elder was sitting right next to one of those people Saturday. And again, James, this is one of those things that anybody could do, and I'm urging you in Virginia to do it. I sat down with Brother James and the president of the local NAACP.
Yes.
And I asked him to formulate a letter to the current base commander on Fort Meade, Colonel Gore. She's the first Black female base commander. And because somebody has to bite the bullet. In active duty people can do something, but there will be a price to pay. But when you become the commander at Fort Meade, Maryland, that's normally your last stop anyway. You have already earned all your benefits. Nothing can be taken away from you at this point, and you're not going anywhere after this stop. If you check the history, you know I have my facts. So she is the base commander at Fort Meade, Maryland. What I asked them to do is to say, the president, you know, he has this thing now where the MAGAs can wear their hats and their jerseys and all that stuff, shirts in the workplace. And he encouraging them to decorate their office with MAGA gear. Now, and so
in the military?
Yes, and they're doing it. And I went directly to the caucus Tuesday when they had their meetings Tuesday. I think if I had had my blood pressure checked, it would have probably been 200, because me and my wife bowled on Fort Meade on Thursdays. An officer brought his whole family in to go bowling, and he wore the MAGA shirt. You know, Trump make America great again. And Reverend, you know what happens to me when I see those things. You know that. So when my wife left, and I'm glad she left ahead of me because she probably would have stopped me, I went over to his table and I asked him, I was very nice. I asked him a question. I said, how can you, a person in the military, support somebody who dodged the draft? And right now, as I'm speaking to you, he's taking money away from the veterans, you know, for healthcare and all that kind of stuff. How can you be in here wearing that stupid shirt and support him? And do you know what he did? He went and started talking about Bill Clinton. He said, well, Bill Clinton does the draft. So I say, tell me something. Is Bill Clinton in office now? And then he talked about, well, Obama backed down from the Chinese. I said, is President Obama in office now? And I hit him with that. And by that time, everybody know how loud I am. So I got him so loud, his wife and some other people came in between us. So then I just yelled at and I called him names and used some French on the way out the door. So, but he knew it, and his wife told him, as I heard the wife was saying, just like I was telling the Reverend when we had this a fat black Trump supporter on our cruise ship when he came in and wore that stuff. His wife said, "I told you not to wear that shirt," and that's the same thing 2 years ago on a cruise ship when I say this black fat a mega supporter came on my cruise. Yes, it's my cruise. Wearing that shirt. He didn't wear it no more for the next 7 days. He didn't wear it anymore. But my point I'm getting to is that the caucus, the NAACP, and Reverend, if you can contact the United Black Clergy, if we can send in a letter, she has to conform, meaning, and you know that, with the executive order, giving them the permission now. And on Fort Meade, they're doing it right now. All I'm saying is that she as a commander can put an addendum to it. And it is, and you all know what I'm going to say now, the term called esprit de corps. And if you know what esprit de corps means, it deals with for the whole group to get the mission accomplished. You have to have esprit de corps to do that. And it has some other words and definitions that goes along with it. But the main point is she could simply say
good order and discipline.
Right. The good order and for good order and discipline, I recommend that you not wear these mega shirts because they have been designated as a hate symbol. Now you have the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Southern Christian Leadership Association and some other anti-racist group have all designated mega outfits, mega uniforms, mega hats as a racist affiliation. And as a commander of a military base, you have the absolute authority to speak to esprit de corps. Now, y'all know how hard I am, because I have been on the governor. So if I'm going to be on the governor, a military person don't mean nothing to me. So
Lou, let me suggest this. The counter to that is this.
Fastest increase in temperature.
Because if you say the black woman is the commander at Fort Meade,
Yes.
Right now that the DEI didn't earn it. Secretary of Defense is trying to figure out how to get rid of more women and more brown people. What I would do if I were the commander is say, anyone can wear any shirt with any message that they want to wear. Because hold on, because the maggots, MAGATS, the maggots are not in the majority. Most people do not agree with them. And so if the maggots get to wear their stuff, then everybody else gets to wear their stuff too. At which point it will be such a cacophony of shirts and images and whatever. Everybody's like, no. So we just need to go back to where nobody could do anything. So that's what I would do. I would say, I would just open the floodgates and say, everybody wear what you want, and let's see what happens.
Well, I'll tell you right now, all those things I just talked about, and Reverend James was with me when the president, did he not commit to write that letter? Did he not commit to do that?
He absolutely committed to writing that letter.
So I'm all for what you're saying. I agree. But we could hear
gentlemen, let me Lewis, let me step in for a minute. One thing, I'm getting some feedback from somebody, and the Colonel just came on, so I'm gonna let him get in there. Colonel, I think that might be you. I heard some feedback when you popped up. And let me shout out some of the veterans that are watching. Huddy Williams, Catherine Bracey, which is Lewis's sister. Cornell, Elliot, shout out to you. And I want to say this one thing, because every month we get together with some guys from the neighborhood, and all of those guys are Vietnam vets. And I want to shout them out because they already had issues trying to get everything that was due to them, even at this point. I'm talking about Vietnam from the 70s and 60s. And one of them, two of them really served in the jungle. One of them in particular, and was wounded, and one was in Korea. So shout out to Reggie Moss, Leonard White, William Parker, and Bill Parker. But these guys, I meet with every month and hear their stories when they want to talk about it, and it hurts my heart to know how hard they are still working to get everything that they deserve. And then you still have this guy in here further cutting things or making it even harder for them. I'm talking Vietnam vet. These guys should by now have everything they need. And they're in their 70s and still fighting for things. So just wanted to say that. Think about that, because I think everybody around my age or something like that, even if you didn't serve, you knew guys from your neighborhood that didn't volunteer, were drafted and served honorably and came back wounded or, needed some kind of assistance. But anyway, Colonel, welcome. I don't know if you've been listening to the other brothers here, the other vets here, but chime in on it. This is the Colonel Thomas Chapman. Thomas Chapman. Oh, one shout out to the other vet that was watching, Johnny Gantz, who was my cousin. He chimed in. He's the one, Brother James, that jumps out of airplanes. And the Colonel said, "Why does he jump out of perfectly good airplanes?"
Yes.
Before the destination. But anyway, go ahead, Colonel. Chime in.
Well, you was mentioning the shirt, the Fort Belvoir commander being black female. She can't do anything because the rest of the military, I mean, the whole military, all these general officers and colonels and whatever, sergeant majors, especially of color, have a target on their back. They are afraid. They are afraid to be attacked and fired and put out in the military just because of their skin color. Remember, and their sex. And so she can't say anything about the maggots going around with their shirts and stuff like that, even though it is not, she could use regulations going against what the maggots will say this is free speech. But the minute I come or some soldier comes in there, black soldiers come in with a shirt, Black Lives Matter, they're going to get an Article 15 and have some trumped up stuff, or their efficiency reports or their OERs or NCOERs will be affected by it. They will basically be careers will be in jeopardy, and so you're caught between a rock and a hard place. And because one, we're in unprecedented times where you have a mob boss who is running this country, who is also a white supremacist. And if you look at everything that he's done since then is to advance the agenda, Project 2025, and the white supremacists, and to destroy the inner workings of this country, not just the civil service and all the institutions that run this country to make this country go, and it was made this country great because it was great before he got here. And also,
I don't know if this country was ever great, to tell you the truth.
Yes, but I'm just using that as a quote
it
unquote.
Hasn't gotten any better. That we do know.
It's gotten worse. But as you look at over the weekend, he's trying to deport all people of color. You notice he's only deporting and going after people of color, but him and his Nazi-loving elongated Musk is bringing in them white folks from South Africa, chartering a plane with taxpayer money to bring in these people that aren't oppressed. They'll go to the front of the line, get citizenship, jobs, and everything else. So it just tells you,
Colonel, if I may chime in just a little bit, because I understand what you're saying about the act, especially the active military folks that's leaders are caught between a rock and a hard place, and that's understood. But at some point, because the history of our people we have always been caught between a rock and a hard place. But at some point, some sacrifices are going to have to be made, because we just cannot sit by idly and allow this man to do whatever he wants to do. Someone's going to have to stand up and say enough is enough. And here's the thing, this is what I really believe. They have a defense here. They can say, listen, I took an oath of office to support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and what this man is doing is going directly against the Constitution.
That's
so
right.
Where does the buck stop?
That's
Where
right.
does the buck stop?
We see. That's why I want to push the thing about Fort Meade.
So what I would say, Elder, it is easy for us who are retired and collecting our military pensions. It's easy for us to say a sacrifice is necessary to somebody that ain't getting their pension yet.
Yeah.
And could be cashiered out of the military.
Yes.
And lose because again, we're not talking normal times where, well, this is the rubric, this is sort of the boundary of the charges we might bring against you. They'll just make ish up. They'll just make crap up.
Yeah.
And try and put the worst spin on it possible to get you out. Charges that would not have stood 3 years ago, but they'll make them stick now because that's where they are. So I understand what you're saying. And if there are any in the military who are willing to bite that bullet, God bless them. But I would not ask anybody to risk their personal security and their family's security on that. I just wouldn't do it.
Well, this is the solution, Reverend. You know, whenever we do anything from education to something, I always have a solution. I'm not just running my mouth. This is a solution. I've said what Biden should have done with Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, which they didn't do, is they should have made that man whole and made him a full colonel, and when for standing up and exposing Trump as being an extortionist. Now that was why I left the Democratic Party, because they continue to show weakness. Now the answer to this is, as I said, we should get whoever are the leading presidential candidates, no matter who they are, we should have them commit to make anyone whole who will stand up to the president right now. So because he's going to be out of there one way or the other. So that's all I'm asking. And you know, I already wrote my letter, and I said that I would like for the Democratic Party to have the people who are in line to run, from the governor of California, the governor of Pennsylvania, or whoever, the governor from Kentucky, sign a letter. That's the number one, is to say we want people to do what we're talking about right now, which is to stand up, active duty people, to say exactly what the Reverend James just said. You know, to honor that. And then to say, if you get retaliated, if Trump retaliate on you, we will make you whole in the next administration, and hold them to it. Now, what I'm saying is what Trump has already done. Trump told his buttholes that y'all hang with me, and I'm going to exonerate all of you. Did he do it? Yes, he did. He told the family of that woman who was shot that if he gets in, he could make sure they get compensated. Is he doing it? Yes, he did. And you see, that's why those crackers hang with him like that, because if you confront any of them people, they'll say, well, he kept his word. He kept his word. So now, like I say, y'all know how I feel. Y'all been in meetings with me. It is why I don't go to meetings anymore. It's because I've laid things out. I put the things on the table, and it just takes people guts to follow through with it. Now, this is the thing. We got to get the commander on Fort Meade to do exactly what you say, even the nice way that you say do it, meaning let everybody wear a shirt, okay? And I would have my FU Trump shirt on Fort Meade every single day. Now, we should do that. We should convince her. You at the end of your career anyway. You're not going to be hurt now. if he cashier you out, he has to go through hell to do it. And that'll just show even more to veterans how little he care about veterans. Somebody has to bite the bullet who is active duty. It's as simple as that. How are they any better than Medgar Evers taking a bullet? How are they any better than Martin Luther King taking a bullet? How are they any better to Malcolm X taking a bullet? Anybody who have taken a bullet for what you have to go through, it's a sacrifice you got to make. And like I say, on June the 7th, this person here is going to make the sacrifice to stand in front of a damn tank, if I have to make my point. You got to make the bullet. And so I'm just bite the bullet, and all I'm saying is this, is that we got to have somebody active duty to stand up to this fool, this idiot, this moron, and say, we're not going to take this anymore. You are not supporting or defending the Constitution of this damn United States, and that's it. And that's all we got to do.
So then what will happen is that they will get an other than honorable discharge or a dishonorable discharge, because again, the guardrails are not there.
We can upgrade it when we take over again. That's all I'm saying.
You're counting on there being this sudden emergence of intelligence and self-preservation in the electorate before the next election.
Yeah,
make it in order. Yes, let's say out. I'm gonna be very calm about this, and this is not a curse word. What we should simply say to the Democratic Party, that our black asses will not support you if you are not going to do this one thing. If you can't stand up for veterans, a female black woman or female white woman, I don't care who the person is. If you can't stand up and give your commitment to make this person whole, our black asses will not vote for you in 2026 or 2028. Pure and simple. Now, you know your damn self that the Democratic Party can't do a damn thing without black people. A damn thing without black people. That's why Biden was in office, because what happened in South Carolina? They cannot do a damn thing without us. And we need to hold these people. We need to have five things to say to 2026 or 2028 that what we are not going to tolerate if we're going to support you. Now, we know that they're looking for, as Crocker said, the best white boy to run for office the next time. And I don't have I'm not opposed to that at all. Matter of fact, I think there should be two crackers in the office. It should be a vice president and the president. Both of them should be white. But they should be there with the order that they're going to follow what we want them to do. Pure and simple. No buts about it. Okay. And we can make these officers whole again in the next Democratic administration. But somebody has to bite the bullet, Reverend. That's the only way we're going to stop or slow down this idiot.
Hey, Lewis, let Colonel get in there.
So,
Colonel,
Lewis,
get in there.
Yeah, okay. Right quick, you talked about Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. Yes, and you said that there was sort of failure from from President Biden and his administration to make him whole. Well, yes, he was promoted on his last promotion board. So he was promoted, and he could have waited his time and pinned on Colonel, but he decided to retire, and with the justification saying if Trump came back into office, he would not have a full career, or Trump was still in office, he would have not having a chance to progress in his career. So he did retire. He could have fought this on, but he stayed on. He went ahead and put his retirement papers in. And so you're talking about
his brother was hurt too. His brother was hurt too.
Yeah, but his brother was also promoted and decided to pin on and then retire. Because, and then go on, because his brother was a lawyer, went on and won a house seat.
Oh, so, he did win. Very good.
Yeah, he did win.
Okay.
And then but then the other brother, Lieutenant Colonel Promotable, is out making, political speeches, and he's done something else. So that's what. But you also talk about or wish of other active duty people. Now, the Army Surgeon General, when Trump came on, was Lieutenant General, black female, Crossland. And she and it hadn't hit the news, and it probably, I guess she's gonna wait. Hopefully she'll come out and say something. But she told him to go stuff it. She retired abruptly. Said, I'm done. And this is after they were going through all the first round of firing black females throughout the military, and they were trying to tell the healthcare system you had to do this automatic across the board cuts, and she knew that these would be devastating cuts to the healthcare system across the board for the Army and all what we do across the world. And then so she said, the hell with it. And then so she had a meeting with some of those cutthroat folks over there in the Pentagon, and all of a sudden that weekend she says, I'm done. But it was a big, and she still had I think 2.5 years. Well, no, she had 2 years left, as a 3-star OBGYN doc. So she could go out. She has a way to go out and do other things. And and she's also had her own history of problems or tragedies, because a few years back, her husband died tragically.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a single mother with a great son, and trying to do all that. But she's one that took it on the chin. But you're not going to see that across the board, because not a lot of people would do, like the pastor says, if you're short of that retirement and that pension, that is a big piece of your family's wealth in the future. And so you have to.
Although she should feel free to tell the truth and shame the devil, because she retired. What is an 08?
Yeah.
So 08, 09. So she should feel free to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
True, but I think that she is still on that terminal leave. You know how you got that leave, and then you have a retirement date. And I think I believe that she is still in that period of time, because this is all recent. It's just like how I retired. I had 90. Well, I had no extra time. I had like 120 days of leave that I was on. I left the office in March, but I didn't retire until 1 August. All that time I was sitting at home with the 30 days. You know how you went when we all went when we were retired. So I think she's in that
terminal leave.
Yeah, till she gets free. The day after I got free, that's a different story. So so going back to what the Democrats need to do, and I saw a politician that actually
grow a pair.
Yes, is we need to
grow a pair. That's what the Democrats need to do. Grow a pair. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, you're correct. And we need like a contract with America too, and to say, hey, these are the 10 commandments, barring a biblical reference, that we are going to do when we take power in 29 with the presidency. Hopefully we'll have the Senate and the House of Representatives. If
we get there.
If these new politicians that are running go ahead and grow a pair and say and start talking about, we talk about Hunter Biden and his corruption that he supposedly had that it wasn't. And you look at the grifting and the outright, just outlandish corruption that Trump is doing now with the Saudi planes and the meme coins and just enriching himself, him and his family. But on our project, with Contract with America, we can say one of the bullets. So if you were in this administration, if you were in this regime, we're going to have an executive order. You're a lawyer. We're going to do the same thing what Trump did, because Republicans, you're quiet when he says he went after you. So we won't do any business, no government business with you or your firm. Do the same thing. All those ICE officers, immediately fire them. Out the door. Out of here. all those IGs and everybody that he has appointed in the last 4 years, everybody that he has hired are out the door at 12:01. At 12:01 on January 20th, out the door. I mean, clean house. You have to be able to fight the same fight that they're doing. And then you can roll down what and the other commandments are saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to we're going to redo the tax system and make it fair and do, unleash or whatever. You can make your agenda from there. But you keep it broad so they won't attack it. Well, they're going to attack it anyway. But yeah, but you say, hey, this is what it is. If you participate in this mess that's going on for the next 4 years, Trump can't write enough pardons for you. And if you think you're going to get a pardon, and that's only going to protect you for that last 4 years, we're going to find something. And after that, we're going to go after you.
That's right.
Yeah. But
and we got to
so,
do that.
So the first order of business, if they are fortunate enough, if the country wakes up enough to say, "Oh my God, Babylon is falling. This is a hot mess." Mm-hmm. The first thing they should do if they take power, executive and legislative, both houses of Congress, is expand the Supreme Court. That's the first thing.
That's the first
because
thing.
You're going to need an expanded Supreme Court so that you can actually get justice again at that level to do everything else you want to do. Because the other folks would then, okay, well, whatever they try to do, we'll take it to court. You can take it to court, but it's going to end up in that court. And so you're not going to get the result that you would like to get.
Yes.
But there's one thing, a final point I would like to share. From cinema, actually. I found myself watching Daredevil, the Marvel Universe broadcast of Daredevil. And the new one, which came out in 2024, 2025. Long story short, Kingpin, who was a career criminal, is now the mayor of New York. And doing all of his criminal stuff now under the guise of being the mayor of New York. The last episode of season 1 of this new season is Daredevil sharing a message with New Yorkers, just letting them know everything that's been going on and how stuff is just jacked up. And he just said, we have to resist, we have to rebel, and we have to rebuild. And that's my message going forward for the next 2 years, 4 years. We got to resist and rebel right now. Resist and rebel right now. Just refuse to fall for the okie doke. Refuse to tolerate the nonsense. Resist and rebel. And then after we get rid of them, rebuild.
And to make sure we got to do what they call the codify. That's the right word, codify. We have to codify to make sure that a Trump never rise again. All these things that they X'd out, they have to be put in a way in a form, documented form, or whatever the proper word is, to make sure that Roe versus Wade would never come up again. Our voting rights would never come up again. That's one of the things we have to do. But James, I know we're getting closer over the time, but we're gonna have to have that conversation about expanding the show to 90 minutes or 2 hours. Because I can tell you right now, I know we didn't even touch there's a whole bunch of more things that we could be saying now about the veterans issues and veteran needs and veteran causes that we ran out of time. But we need to have a special show where we can do at least a 2-hour version of this.
Yeah, we can.
But
We will. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it can't be 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When we usually have a special a special show that goes longer. It's usually on a Thursday evening.
Yeah.
And we can
Oh,
go a
that's
little
great.
longer because the morning shows we try to restrict to an hour because people have things to do and people, but on a Thursday evening, we'll have a special show and bring back even more veterans. Because I think what you all have to say is very important and people should listen because the president is doing what he's doing right in our faces. So he needs to hear from you guys exactly the truth, like the title says, truth to power. And even being as blunt as telling Democrats they need to grow a pair, and which is true, they really do. Shouldn't be standing in silence and letting the women speak for us. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but not only them. Seem like they're the ones that are speaking up. So thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate it. And
Well, the
we'll do
women
it
and
again.
Jamie Raskin. The women and Jamie Raskin and the governor of Illinois, Pritzker. But it's a short list of men, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's a few of them out there, but they need to be more united, in order to fight this guy. You can't sit in silence while everybody else, like you guys, are speaking up and trying to get the word out. And we appreciate that. And that's why we do this show. And I thank you all for being candid.
Can I mention something before you close out?
Yes, please do. Go ahead.
Because on the 23rd of this month, the Naval Academy is having their commencement ceremony. Louis Bracey, myself, and about 16 other organizations is going to be sending a message to J.D. Vance, who's going to be speaking at the Naval Academy. We're going to be protesting and letting him know that we don't like what the administration is doing. And as it stands now, we have about 16 organizations that's going to be there at the Naval Academy, not to denigrate or put down the graduating class, but to send a message to J.D. Vance to take back to Trump. We don't like what your administration is doing, and we're not going to sit by idly and be quiet about it. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to take, those type of actions. And I'm sure the colonel would agree with that as well. But anyway, thanks again, gentlemen. I appreciate you coming on and speaking truth to power. And like I said, we'll put together a special show where we can go a little longer and have even more veterans on. I'd like to have some women veterans to join the conversation as well. So we'll do that. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you the next time, and we'll let you know about the next special show we have with the veterans.
Be our guest on the Portsmouth